Belal Muhammad, fighter of the week for me, stepped in. He's going to go take on Leon. Great. I say great, and I'm giving Muhammad credit for doing what he should have done. But in this sport, particularly right now, guys are not doing what it is they want to do, what it is they are supposed to do. So Muhammad gets credit. Look, he just fought. I saw him. I happened to be there. I was in Las Vegas. I watched him fight. Looked great. By the way, I happened to learn some stuff about him. Let me share a few things with you guys on Muhammad. He has a podcast. If that interests you, you can find his podcast. But he watches every fight. He studies every fighter. He's just a fan. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. But there's byproducts of that. There's byproducts of staying current and watching everybody. I have maintained for many years, Randy Couture won a world championship for the last time at 44 years old, but Randy Couture fought until he was 47. And a number of people have come to me as Randy's teammate. Hey man, what's his secret? What's he do? How's he do this? I've heard Randy speak on it, but I don't know that Randy has ever said what I say for him. What I say Randy's secret was, what I have always maintained, Randy used to go and train with kids. There was a high school, Centennial High School. He started coaching wrestling at it, but moreover is he would go in the room and he would work out with the kids, 14s, 15s, 16s, 17, 8, freshmen and seniors, through seniors. But when you're working out with the next generation, it becomes impossible for you to be passed up by the generation, at least in terms of techniques and nuances. If you go in and you're working out with those kids who are learning the new and next wave of things, it's very hard for you to get passed by. And I use as an extension to Muhammad, one of the things of him having a podcast, of him studying, of him having to break down every fighter. When you do go watch Muhammad fight, or you go back and watch Muhammad fight, you can see the progression. And he's not slippy. And he's not one of those guys that's going to slip just because he studies and he's such a student of sport. Look, how we got here is far more fascinating than the fact that we are here. It was not very long ago that Leon is refusing to fight Chimaev because Chimaev wasn't ranked. Or Leon was not doing fill in the blank other fight, but it also had to do with the ranking and the placement. Almost, I'm too good for this. I'm above doing this. That's okay, and I'm not looking to take a shot at Leon here, but I am looking to use the point of he's now doing everything he said he wasn't going to do, and he's not only doing everything he said he wasn't going to do, he's thrilled for it. He's begging for the chance. Why? Because he's a prize fighter, and enough time went by, and enough of the prize got spent elsewhere. But it's a fascinating as well as frustrating piece of this sport for me. I want to see guys who want to be here. I want to see them out there because they want to compete. That's what I want. And when I have to deal with guys who want headline driven or title promised or extra money put on top, I lose. That's not what I'm here for. I want to see guys that want to be here and they want to compete. But you do understand, early in their career, I know we're talking Leon now, but it's a broad stroke and it covers a lot of people. Early in their career, they would do whatever it takes to get this contract, just to be in an organization that was paying money, oh, by the way, and had fans and eyeballs and cameras set up where you could show off your skills. Once you get that somewhere along the way, it's not enough, it's not good enough. You've forgotten how hungry you were, how bad you wanted it, and now you're turning matches down. The very thing that you laid in bed and prayed to God in heaven above at some point in your life that you would have the opportunity to do is the very thing that you're picking up a telephone and telling the person on the other end, no, thank you, I don't want to do that. Now, why that cycle is here and where that comes from, I cannot speak to. I don't know a damn thing about it, other than it is a real phenomenon that I observe. I loved when that phone would ring. I loved when those opportunities came. I wanted to train and prepare and weigh in and make that walk every bit as much 40 times after I had done it as before I had ever done it the first time. But I will tell you, the house always wins. I've been here long enough to see fighters that aren't going to fight anymore unless this or that happens. But when I turned on my TV the next Saturday to ESPN, the show was going. The house will always win. That's not a bad thing. It's an important thing that you observe early on. It can save you a lot of hiccups. Of all the matches, if we were to go back the last 16 months, of all of the matches that Leon was ever offered, and I don't know who they were, but they were made public and I just can't recall it. Of all the matches that Leon has been offered in the last 16 months, if we took them all to him at once on a silver platter, I assure you, Muhammad is his last pick. Of every opportunity that he was offered and turned away from, Muhammad would have been, in descending order, the bottom pick, but it's the one that's going to happen. The house always wins. And when you're planning and plotting and strategizing over your career, if you miss how quick this sport goes, if you miss the unforeseens, 2 players came off the board on Saturday. The top players. All because Usman, with a microphone, decided to call out Masvidal. Okay. Now, Usman and Masvidal are gone. And if you were to go look at the Chimaev get sick, right? On Saturday, 2 players came off the board. Within the last week, 3 players have come off the board. If you add Chimaev. Only point being how quickly things change. You win the fights you can win when you can win them. You take the fights that you can take when you can take them. You get the fights that you can get whenever you can get them. If you try to get locked in to rankings or a side promise outside of your contract or an extra fee on top of your purse, if you get distracted with these things, I mean, look what happened to Leon. Of all of the choices and options that he had, his last and least choice that never would have come in if we looked at the rankings, if we had title promises, if we're looking for the little cheddar on top of everything else, none of that would have fit the criteria, but it's still who he's facing. And I will assure you, as this fight gets closer and both guys start talking about it and the media gets behind it, the money outside the contract, the rankings of the opponents will have nothing to do with the story. It never has. The media has never cared about or talked about the money. They have never cared about what the rankings are and what the discrepancy is between the athletes. That is fictional. That is within the athlete's mind. It's a way to stop you from having to do something. The house always wins.